Here we go. It is pop quiz time, and we're no. You're doing great. You're doing great. Your dad, Franklin, is a member of the NASA Astronaut Hall of Fame.
That's right.
We learned that this week, and you're sharing that with us. He was a crew member on 7 space shuttle missions, 7 of them. So here's your first question. We're going to put it on the screen.
Oh, goodness.
Which of the following is not the name of a NASA space shuttle? Not the name of a shuttle. Atlantis, Endeavour, or Pathfinder?
Pathfinder.
Bingo. You got it. Pathfinder. URA, you're 1 for 1. You are, and your dad will be proud you got that one right, by the way.
That's, if I can get out with just my dad being proud, I'll be all right.
You're a University of Virginia grad, a famous 19th century author who was born in Boston, also attended the college in its early years. Here, again on the screen, was it Nathaniel Hawthorne, Edgar Allan Poe, or Herman Melville?
I'm going to go Poe.
Edgar Allan Poe. He didn't graduate, by the way, but Edgar Allan Poe. Massachusetts has never elected a woman as governor. Every other state in New England has. So who is the first one in New England? Again, it's on the screen. Was it Jean Shaheen in New Hampshire, Ella Grasso in Connecticut, or Madeline Kunin in Vermont?
I'm going to go see Vermont.
Well, you know what? That's what both you and I did when we rehearsed, but it's not. Right. It's Ella Grasso in Connecticut.
I got that one
I'm
wrong
in good
too.
company.
By about 10 years or so, by the way. She took office in 75.
I should have known better because I actually covered it when she was governor.
Go
but
ahead, Connecticut.
I
Okay,
forgot.
so here's the one we were talking about. Last question. The official state symbol is the topic of this. Say hello to someone in Massachusetts is the official state what? Glee Club song, greeting card, or polka? It's the official Massachusetts what? Official state symbol.
You know, I was a theater geek in high school, so I'm going to go Glee Club song.
Oh, you know what? It's the polka. Listen to this.
Someone in Massachusetts, tip your hat to every lady that you meet.
Who knew?
Who knew? Now we know.
Who knew?
Now we know.
I bet you most of our viewers did not know that either.
Very good.
Okay, it
So
was just
there
a
you
guess.
go. Right.
So we're going to get.
Thank you.
So we're going to get back to some more serious business. We're looking for some really short answers to a couple of important issues. Should Kim Janey or the next elected mayor appoint the next police commissioner?
Should, our current mayor has the authority, and I respect that authority.
So the current acting mayor,
Correct, yes.
should have the authority to do it, and not necessarily wait a couple of months for the election to take place.
That's
And do you have an opinion as to whether Willie Gross or Marty Walsh is telling the more truthful interpretation of how Dennis White got elected? Got appointed.
I don't. I have not followed it closely enough to have an intelligent opinion on that.
Okay. And Joe Harsanyev, does he deserve the death penalty?
I do not believe in the death penalty, and I think that is not about the individual, but is about us, right, as a state, and who are the kind of people that we want to be, and the kind of Commonwealth that we want to be. And I don't believe that taking the life of another is something that the state should be in the business of.
Not even in the case of the Boston Marathon.
Not even in that case.
Many changes in the state police are underway. There are a shortage of officers. There are scandals. So would you divert money from their budget, and where would you spend it if you did?
Well, actually, this is an issue that I've been in the trenches on. And look, it's really about outcomes and about how can we best achieve safety for our neighborhoods, and safety in the most holistic sense. There are so many things that we can be investing our dollars in that are more proven, that we know work, and that our communities are really asking for. And I'll give you a specific example, a piece of legislation that I filed for a number of years. We got it really close last year in the police reform bill. It didn't quite make it into the final bill, but it's called the Justice Reinvestment Act. And what it would do is calculate the savings that we are accruing in our jail and prison system here in Massachusetts because of declining rates of incarceration, thanks to the criminal justice bill that I helped get passed in 2018. Our population in our jails and prisons is going down, but our budget levels haven't been going down in our jails and prisons, which just doesn't make sense. So we need to actually run the numbers on what we're saving, and then this bill would put half of that, up to half of that savings, into a dedicated fund for community reinvestment to get into that virtuous cycle of investment and prevention, spending it on things like job training, dropout prevention and intervention, because when you get people into a hopeful pathway in life, you're going to reduce crime.
But you are talking about shrinking the state police budget.
It would be, well, that particular provision would reduce, in line with reduced incarceration, right, again, virtuous cycle, the budget for our incarceration system. But yeah, there are also things that we could do. Just earlier this week, I testified in support of a bill that Rep. Sabadosa and myself have filed called the ACEs bill that would create a grant fund for non-police, non-armed, but highly expert mental and behavioral health professionals to respond to emergency, to 911 calls that are to do with mental health and substance abuse issues, and that aren't about law enforcement. And that's about, look, putting money where it most clearly belongs, to match the response to the need, and to also save money, honestly, in our criminal justice system, because right now we're putting so many people who are actually suffering from mental health concerns, who are suffering from addiction, into a very expensive prosecution and incarceration system.
Thank you so much for joining us.